Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we're diving into the next episode of Friendly Rivalry. The story shifts back to when Jae-yi's mother was pregnant. Her father visited several fortune tellers to determine the most auspicious date for Jae-yi's birth. When she was born, she was not only healthy but also exceptionally intelligent and physically strong. She learned everything faster than other children, whether it was academics, dance, music, sports, or painting, she always ranked first. People praised her as a prodigy. Her mother was immensely proud of her, but her father was different. Every time he saw Jae-yi, he would always ask, "What rank did you get this time?" Jae-yi also had an older sister, just 1 year older than her. Even as a child, Jae-yi was so advanced that she could solve middle school math problems while still in elementary school. One day, their father made them compete, and Jae-yi won. As a reward, he told Jae-yi to hit her sister. Later, Jae-yi secretly sat alone, crying because she felt sorry for her sister. Seeing this, her father comforted her and said, "In this world, the weak are always oppressed. If you pity them, you will end up just like them. You must become strong and exceptional so that others will admire you." From that moment on, Jae-yi changed. She stopped caring about her sister and began competing with everyone around her. If anyone was better than her, she couldn't stand it. Then, one day, she met her first love. However, her first love could never truly capture her heart because, deep inside, she had built an impenetrable emotional armor. No matter how hard they tried to break through, they failed. Jae-yi's family often went to the church to cleanse their sins, but for Jae-yi she always felt exhausted, thinking, she has done nothing wrong. Why should she need to clean anything? That's when she decided, if she was going to be treated like a sinner, she might as well commit actual sins. She started street racing, partying in nightclubs, and engaging in reckless behavior, only to return to the temple later to wash away her misdeeds. One night, she had a vision. She was wearing her emotional armor and jumped into the sea. As she sank deeper, the weight of the armor dragged her down. Yet, at the ocean floor, she felt an eerie sense of peace. Not only that, but she realized she could breathe underwater. Back in reality, Jae-yi went to meet Sul-ki, who was waiting for her on the rooftop. She then took Sul-ki to her father's hospital, leading her to the basement, where a doctor examined Jae-yi and gave her some vitamins to take. Later, she brought Sul-ki to her private study room. When they arrived, Jae-yi opened her wardrobe, revealing a school uniform inside. She handed it to Sul-ki, who was confused and hesitant. Jae-yi simply told her to change first and ask questions later. Seeing no reason to refuse, Sul-ki agreed. As Jae-yi helped Sul-ki change, she suddenly noticed cigarette burn marks on Sul-ki's shoulder, evidence of past bullying at her previous school. Jae-yi was shocked, but Sul-ki quickly covered the scars with her clothes and changed by herself. After changing, Sul-ki asked, "Why are you being so nice to me?" Jae-yi replied, "Because I like you, and because you were the top student at your old school. I want to know how you study." Hearing this, Sul-ki laughed and said, "I wasn't exceptional. My old school was just in a rural area. Since transferring here, I can barely understand the test questions." Jae-yi smirked and handed her some study notes, saying, "From now on, I'll share all my notes with you." But Sul-ki, in turn, needed to teach Jae-yi the study methods she used. At that moment, Hyeri and Ki-eun suddenly entered the room. In a panic, Jae-yi quickly hid Sul-ki inside the wardrobe. As they hid, they overheard Hyeri and Ki-eun gossiping about Jae-yi, even claiming that her beauty was the result of plastic surgery. Sul-ki was shocked by their words, but Jae-yi simply laughed and didn't seem bothered. To reassure Sul-ki, Jae-yi placed Sul-ki's hand on her chest to show that her heart was beating steadily, proving she was unfazed. When Hyeri and Ki-eun began badmouthing Sul-ki's family, Jae-yi quickly covered Sul-ki's ears to shield her from their hurtful words. Suddenly, Sul-ki's phone rang loudly, startling Hyeri and Ki-eun. At first, they thought it was their own phone, but upon checking, they realized it wasn't. Suspicious, they wondered if someone was hiding in their closet and went to investigate. As they approached the closet, Jae-yi sent them a message to divert their attention, inviting them to meet at the cafe before class. Seeing this, Hyeri and Ki-eun left. Once they were gone, Jae-yi took Sul-ki aside and said, "See you tomorrow." Before leaving, Jae-yi added that she had never had plastic surgery. Sul-ki then gave Jae-yi a keychain she had received from her father as a gift. Jae-yi smiled in surprise and gratitude before heading the cafe to meet Hyeri and Ki-eun. Meanwhile, Sul-ki watched Jae-yi from a distance and walked away. As she walked, she noticed a family crying loudly during a funeral ceremony. Moments later, a man tapped her shoulder from behind, causing her to stop. He informed her that she had forgotten to zip her bag. As Seol-ki saw the man, she immediately remembered that he had attended her father's funeral. Her father had passed away in an accident, and she and her stepmother held the funeral at the hospital. Back then, she realized that this man was the doctor who had treated her father. Because of this, she hesitated for a moment, wanting to ask him something about her father. She decided to follow him, but as she did, she saw him speaking warmly with a young girl, Jae. At that time, Seol-ki didn't know Jae yet, but seeing her made Seol-ki envious of her seemingly perfect life. Unlike her, Jae had everything, while Seol-ki was poor and without family. Later, when Seol-ki returned home, she worked on Jae's homework. However, after staring at one of the problems for a while, she had no idea how to solve it. So, she took the medicine that Yeon-jin had given her, and after that, she was able to complete the assignment effortlessly. Meanwhile, after their study session, Jae's father came to pick up the 3 students and take them home. On the way, Ki-eun and Hyeri asked to get off early, saying they wanted to buy something to eat. However, this was just an excuse, they simply didn't like Jae's father. Once the 2 of them left, Jae's father started asking her about Seol-ki. Since Seol-ki was known for being an excellent student, he was worried that she might surpass his daughter academically. However, Jae reassured him that Seol-ki was no competition for her. The next day, Seol-ki went to school as usual. When she arrived, she noticed that the student who sat next to Jae was absent. Later, the teacher announced that the class would be holding an election for class president. After the first lesson ended, Seol-ki switched seats to sit next to Jae again. Seeing this, Ki-eun was surprised, as Jae had promised to support her for class president. However, watching Jae interact so closely with Seol-ki made Ki-eun uneasy. She feared that Jae might vote for Seol-ki instead. When the teacher began the nomination process, Ki-eun was among the candidates for class president, but suddenly, Jae raised her hand and nominated Seol-ki as well. This shocked Ki-eun because she knew that if Jae supported Seol-ki, the entire class would likely follow suit. Since there were now 2 nominees, the teacher decided to proceed with a vote. Once the votes were counted, Seol-ki had won with the majority, while Ki-eun was appointed vice president. Ki-eun was unhappy with the results and went up to inspect the ballots. She soon noticed that some of the handwriting looked suspiciously similar, leading her to suspect that someone had cast multiple votes for Seol-ki. Jae then asked Ki-eun if she knew whose handwriting it was and challenged her to say it out loud. Ki-eun recognized it as Jae's but couldn't bring herself to expose her. In the end, she had no choice but to accept her position as vice president. However, Jae wasn't willing to let the matter go. She wanted Ki-eun to apologize to Seol-ki and the entire class, as she still suspected foul play. Seeing no way out, Ki-eun was forced to apologize to Seol-ki and her classmates. When Seol-ki arrived home, she noticed a blue envelope inside the mailbox. She picked it up and went inside, only to see a pair of men's shoes at the entrance. Not wanting to disturb her stepmother, she quietly dropped the envelope on the floor and left. She then went to sit in the garden, where she took out her father's phone and once again tried to unlock it. However, she was unsuccessful. A little while later, she received a message from Jae, inviting her to a celebration in honor of her becoming the class president. They agreed to meet at a karaoke venue. Meanwhile, Ki-eun was still bothered by the election results. She examined the ballots once again, trying to determine whether the handwriting on certain votes truly matched. Just then, her mother arrived home. When she found out that Ki-eun had only become the vice president instead of the class president, she was visibly shocked. Ki-eun had always been the top student and the leader of her class, so this outcome was unacceptable to her mother. Hearing this only made Ki-eun even more frustrated. As she stood there, her eyes fell on some documents that her mother had just brought home. Out of curiosity, she took a closer look and was surprised to see that they were legal documents related to Seol-ki's father. This immediately caught her attention. Meanwhile, Jae's father was also dealing with his own troubles. He was worried because the family of a traffic accident victim had not yet signed the responsibility waiver before the hospital began treatment. This left him concerned that they might file a lawsuit against the hospital. The victim had already lost consciousness before arriving at the hospital, and despite the doctor's best efforts to save him, they were unable to keep him alive. Jae's father also learned that the victim's family consisted of only 2 remaining members, a mother and her child. Upon realizing this, he came up with an idea. He wanted to offer them financial compensation. Elsewhere, when Seol-ki arrived at the meeting spot, she found herself waiting for Jae for a long time. However, Jae never showed up. Meanwhile, it was raining, yet Seol-ki had no idea that Jae was actually sitting inside a nearby cafe, watching her. Jae observed Sul-ki standing in the rain, seemingly testing how long she would wait. Eventually, Sul-ki decided to head into a karaoke bar to sing alone. Just as she was about to start, Jae finally arrived, startling Sul-ki. However, the tension quickly faded as they began singing together, enjoying each other's company. After their duet, they walked home together. Along the way, Sul-ki mentioned that if Jae kept behaving this way, Ki-eun would probably be disappointed. Jae reassured her that there was no need to worry since their relationship was already strained. Sul-ki then opened up about her feelings, admitting that she was someone others rarely paid much attention to. She confessed that she had grown tired of waiting for things that never happened, which was why she had decided to go in and sing alone earlier. Hearing this, Jae responded that while she might not know about others, she personally would always keep her promises to Sul-ki, no matter what obstacles arose. This warmed Sul-ki's heart. As they continued talking, Jae invited Sul-ki to spend the night at her house so they could chat more. Though hesitant at first, Sul-ki followed Jae, who took her hand and led her home. Upon entering Jae's house, Sul-ki was surprised by how big it was. She also discovered that Jae had an older sister. Jae then took Sul-ki to her bedroom, which amazed Sul-ki even more. The room was beautifully decorated, resembling the depths of the ocean. Jae explained that she liked this kind of atmosphere because it made her feel at peace. Sul-ki agreed, saying it felt like returning to the comfort of her mother's womb. They continued their conversation, enjoying each other's company. Suddenly, Jae's dog ran into the room, carrying an old robe. The moment Sul-ki saw it, memories from her past came flooding back. She revealed that she once had the same robe and had been wearing it on the day she was separated from her parents before being taken to an orphanage. Listening to Sul-ki's painful story, Jae comforted her, encouraging her to leave the past behind and start a new life. Sul-ki felt a deep warmth from Jae's words. At that moment, the two of them grew even closer. Not only that, but Jae casually undressed right in front of Sul-ki, making her feel shy and flustered. She couldn't even bring herself to look directly at Jae. Later, as Sul-ki was happily soaking in the bathtub, Jae suddenly opened the door, undressed, and stepped into the water with her. Sul-ki was completely taken aback. Jae chuckled and asked, "Is this your first time bathing with a friend like this?" Then, moving closer, she smiled and said, "Sul-ki, you look even more adorable in the water." With a playful grin, she reached out and tapped Sul-ki's nose with a handful of foamy bubbles. Sul-ki's face immediately turned red with embarrassment. "Why are you blushing so much?" Jae asked playfully. Sul-ki, still flustered, quickly replied, "Maybe because I've been soaking too long." Jae smirked. "You're not thinking of anything strange, are you?" she teased, moving closer to Sul-ki. Then, gently, Jae touched Sul-ki's cheek and lips before leaning in and kissing her. Sul-ki's heart pounded wildly. Then they shared a kiss in the bath. But then, Sul-ki suddenly woke up. It had all been a dream. Realizing she had started her period, she got up and went to the bathroom, where she found Jae's sanitary products and quietly took one. As she returned, she noticed Jae's phone buzzing with a message. Out of curiosity, she checked it and saw a text from Kin Naili, a classmate who had once bullied her. Naili had sent a message saying that she would apologize to Sul-ki in person and that she planned to transfer to another school. She also asked Jae to delete a certain video. Seeing this, Sul-ki became puzzled. While Jae was still asleep, she hesitated for a moment before picking up the phone and checking its contents. What she saw left her utterly shocked. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Ki-eun was secretly searching through her mother's documents. She found a legal complaint filed by Sul-ki's stepmother against Jae's father's hospital. A wicked smile spread across Ki-eun's face. She had just discovered a possible weak spot she could use to threaten Jae. What will happen next? See you in the next episode, everyone.